Have you ever said, I'm not a numbers person? I'm raising my hand here today because I have said that phrase so many times in my life. I still say it and I just want to go slap. That's not how the mindset is going to help you. So, today we're talking all about that phrase and why stating you're not a numbers person as a woman entrepreneur is literally the lie that is keeping you broke. So, hey there, I'm Salen. I help six-figure women entrepreneurs integrate the four core pillars that every successful business utilizes in their business. Think businesses like Amazon, Apple, Airbnb. My business utilizes them, and yours should too. I'm here to help women entrepreneurs who are at the six-figure level integrate those four core pillars over a 90-day period so your business is ready to scale to a million. Why a million? Because only 2% of women entrepreneurs will hit a million in revenue. And I personally think that's crap. Because here's the thing, there's no secret to hitting $1 million in business. All it really comes down to is those four core pillars. So today we're talking about one piece of one of the pillars. So pillar number 2 is all about systems. And in pillar 2, I help you establish a monthly planning system where we track our numbers and make smart, educated business decisions. So let's really talk here about I'm not a numbers person. So when we think of a numbers person, we maybe think of like CPAs, accountants, finance people, people that back in school were like good in math and got A's. I definitely am not one of those people. So when I started in business in 2007, my CPA would give me my P&L and my balance sheet, and I would be like, great. I would scroll to the bottom, look to the number, and I'd be like, do I still have money? Right. And that basically would determine whether I was successful or not. What I realized 5 years in is when I started meeting with two fellow franchise owners and we started looking at our numbers, that there was so much more that I had been missing that I actually kind of felt a little mad at myself for missing such an opportunity in business. But once I kind of said, okay, that's like can't cry over spilled milk and moved on, I learned that so many of the questions, frustrations, problems that I had in business, I could get the answers from my numbers. Get the answers from my numbers. Now, I'm still not a numbers lover, but what I do love is getting answers from the numbers. So today, that's what we're diving into. So if you've ever said, I'm not a numbers person, let me know in the comments, give me a me, and let me know that I am not alone on this. So today we're going to talk about the real reason your data feels overwhelming and how to turn it into clarity, into chaos. We're going to talk about the 3 business metrics that instantly show you what's working and what's not. And we're going to talk about how to make decisions from data, not emotion, so you can finally scale with ease. So let's dive into that first one. So the real reason your data feels overwhelming and how to turn it into clarity and not chaos. So this is probably super simple and you're like, maybe I should have thought of that. But the reason data feels overwhelming is because you don't know what data to look at. You don't know what data to pull. You don't maybe know what you're looking at once you have it. So let me give you an example. I was doing some coaching with a client this week, and she wanted to increase the number of clients that she had. And so we looked at her sales process, and her sales process was basically talk to people on social media, in-person networking, online, wherever it is, book a clarity call, and then sell them her coaching program. Okay, super simple 3 steps. What we realized is that she wasn't getting enough calls. And the reason she wasn't getting enough calls is because she wasn't having enough conversations. So I challenged her to have 100 conversations during the month of October so we could get some data. So we're in week 2 or 3, and we were checking in on her progress, which is going amazing. And she was saying that she was tracking the number of conversations she was having, but she was not tracking the amount of people she reached out to, but had not responded. And she's like, it's such a large number. And it really wasn't, but it's such a large number that she was like, is it even worth my time? And next week's newsletter, which if you are not subscribed to the newsletter, I'm going to dive into this more on how to manage your team with the data, right? So we're going to take this the next step further. So if you're not on my newsletter, comment newsletter, and I'll send you the link to join. So what I was explaining to her is that we want to know the entire process. So how many people did she message? How many responded? How many said, yes, I'd love to connect? How many actually booked calls? How many showed up for the calls? And then how many calls turned into clients, right? Because then we can reverse engineer if she wants to make X amount and her program is Y, X times Y equals Z. Her desired amount in business, right? So we would know, I think I did that right. See, I'm not a numbers lover. So basically what I'm saying is if we want to know how much this is such a funny thing right now. So we want to know how much she wants to make, then we need to know how many calls she needs to book and how many conversations she needs to have and how many people she needs to reach out to, right? So we just reverse engineer that. That's time. That was right. See, I'm not going to say I'm not a numbers person. I'm just not a math genius, but I know how to use data to make a profitable, scalable business. Okay. So the big lesson here on why your data feels overwhelming is because you don't know what data to pull, and you don't know why you're pulling it, and you don't know what to do with it. So inside of my signature program, the Legacy Business School, in the first week, we literally dive into what are your offers or your programs? How much do they cost? How much profit do they make you? How much time do they take you? And how do you get leads, right? And so we're building that foundation because when we get to pillar 2, where our monthly tracking system is, then we have data to look at to say, oh, wow, this is how this all works and how it all pieces together. Because then you can make a plan on what to adjust for the next month. Make sense? Okay. Let's move on to the second point. So 3 business metrics that instantly show you what's working and what's not. So 3 business metrics that every successful business should look at. 1, your gross revenue. You want to know without any expenses how much your business is producing in gross revenue. Where on the 6-figure scale are you? Are you low 6 figures at 100,000 or are you high 6 figures at 900,000? Yes, that is still 6 figures. So where are you on that? Gross revenue. The second thing is gross profit. Now, this is taking your gross revenue minus your expenses and your profit. Why this is important? I had a client that I was working with. She had 4 streams of income in her business. When we looked at the 4 streams of income, we realized that one looked good as far as revenue, but was actually the worst on profit, right? And so that was a big wake-up call because we could clearly see that where she should be spending her time was on the one that made her the most profit, right? So we have gross revenue, we have gross profit. The third metric, your gross expenses, right? Like, what are you spending to run your business? When you look at this number, it also gives you some insight into potentially where you're spending money on things that maybe no longer serve you. Maybe you're paying for multiple pieces of software that you don't need anymore because one of them does more stuff now than it used to, and you can get rid of one. Maybe you forgot about this subscription, right? So this allows you to get a handle on where your money is going. So those are the 3 business metrics that instantly show you what's working. Now, inside of the Legacy Business School, I give you a list of 26 metrics to get you started on your journey, right? So everything from conversions and your, churn rate to everything that you need in business to give you a good foundation, no matter what type of business you have. So if you're not inside of the Legacy Business School and you want to talk about how my 90-day program can help you become a numbers person, or at least someone like me that knows that all of the answers are in your data, comment Legacy and we'll set up a time in order to chat. Okay. The third thing we're going to talk about is how to make decisions from data, not emotion. So here's the thing. Let's go back to this client that had the 4 revenue streams. So when she came to me, the reason she came to me is because she said, I have 4 streams of revenue in my business. And she said, one of them, I have an opportunity to expand. And I was like, okay, great. And so she said, but it's going to be more cost. It was like a brick and mortar option. So she said, I don't know whether I should expand my space. And I was like, okay. I said, well, go get all of your profit and your expenses for that revenue stream, how much time you're putting in, like all of that information, and then bring it back to me. She came back 2 weeks later for our scheduled bi-monthly call. And what she realized when she got on the phone is I was like, okay, so what was the answers? And she's like, you're not going to believe this, but for the past year, I have not made a penny in this stream of income. What she realized was why she loved this revenue stream. It like filled her cup and she was part of a community and it was kind of fun and got her out of the house and all of those different kinds of things. But when she ran the numbers, she realized that she hadn't made $1 the whole year. And so I said to her, well, what's the decision? And she said, well, obviously, I'm not going to expand my space. I'm actually going to close down this revenue stream. And I was like, emotions were not needed in that decision. We removed the emotions because the data gave her the exact answers that she was looking for. All right. Simple, simple, simple. So just to recap, the real reason your data feels overwhelming is because you don't know what data to pull, what data to look at, and what it means when you're looking at it. The 3 business metrics that instantly show you what's working and what's not: gross revenue, gross profit, and gross expenses. And how to make decisions from data, not emotion. All about looking at the data and using it to make smart business decisions and not emotional decisions based upon what you like to do or what you enjoy to do, right? So those are the 3 things. So if you've been trying to figure out your business, maybe your business in 2025, your revenue is stagnant because you're out of time. Maybe you work in a time for money kind of business model, or maybe your revenue is going up, but not at the rate that your hours are going up. And you don't mind working hard, but you're at a point where it's like, okay, I can't keep going at this because I'm getting exhausted, right? Or maybe you're in a 2025 year where your revenue is actually declining and everything that you've tried in the past is no longer working. I totally get it. And that's exactly why I developed the Legacy Business School. This is a 90-day program that's based on those 4 core pillars that helps you integrate those business foundational concepts into your business in a unique way made for just you. See, there's no cookie cutter business advice in my world. Everything that I coach on is made for you because I truly believe that you are a unique unicorn and you should be able to build a business that aligns with your dream lifestyle and not someone else's. I'm not going to tell you to build a business like I have because we don't have the same dreams and lifestyle, right? We're going to look at what you want. So the Legacy Business School is the 4 core pillars that every successful business needs. Like I said, Amazon, Apple, Airbnb, my business, we all use them because they're like a mandatory in business, but we customize them inside the Legacy Business School with support from myself and the community to help them make you fit into your unique business and meet your specific dreams and goals. So the best next step for you, if you're like, okay, I need help with my data because things are not going how I would like them to, is I want you to comment scale. Let's get on a complimentary scale strategy call. This is where I am going to ask you 3 questions. These are not scary bro marketing calls. I'm going to tell me about you, tell me about your business and what's your biggest frustration. And then we're going to put a 90-day plan in place for you that is going to allow you to be able to see how those 4 core pillars fit in. And if you like the vibe and I like your vibe, then I'll invite you to join me inside of the Legacy Business School. And if you want to, I would love to have you. If you don't, you walk away with a 90-day plan. Things are very laid back and easy in my world. So I hope you found this training so beneficial. Reminder, if you are not on my email newsletter, comment newsletter and I will send you the link because next week we're going to be talking about how to manage a team without micromanaging them. They almost kind of manage themselves based on your data. And also, if you're interested in the Legacy Business School and you're like, I need all of this, comment Legacy, I'll send you the link. But if you're like, I need a little bit more of a conversation to see if it's a good fit for me, comment scale, and I will get you on my calendar. So I am so grateful to be here. I will not be here next week because it's my birthday. So I will see you guys. Actually, it's going to be a while. I will not be back live until November 19th, and I will have a special guest with me. So I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you in 1 month back here live.